Welcome back to Hermitcraft Season 10, this is episode 16, and to start things off today, I have been AFK at my gold farm. Can you see how many levels I've got? I'm nervous. I am absolutely determined not to die, and I'm going to try not to die for as long as I possibly can. How much gold do we have? Okay, I mean, that's quite a decent amount. That is not bad. That should keep the gold shop in stock for hopefully a short amount of time. It turns out the gold shop has only had one customer ever. Etho bought all of the gold immediately. So at least now some other people should be able to get in on the action. Oh, what is this? First violation. I'm gonna pretend to be surprised by this. What on earth? That is totally unjustified. That is unfair. I completely disagree with the permit office. Let's have a read. What does it say? What does it say inside this book? This is from the Popo. Skizzleman. You are in violation. At this time, you're on a level 1 violation for not stocking your shop. Within the next 3 business days? When did I... That was ages ago. I'm recording this on the 17th. I'm out of business. Thank goodness. The permit office seems to be seemingly completely incompetent because like 2 business weeks have passed since this violation. Oh, that's low. That's low. It's very funny, but that's low. Let's have a look. 3 diamonds per stack. Okay. It's being filled back in. Look at this. I'm restocking and I'm taking my profits. How had I forgotten to take these? So that is now all filled in and I'm going to change this. There we go. There we go. Fully restocked. Violation. I don't know if this sticks around. I am now restocked. Am I still on a yellow? Who knows? Wait a minute. I see another book. I can see another book. Is this in violation? Is this out of stock? No, it's nicely stocked. It's got stock and it's made some sales, which is good. What's this all about? You are in violation. You have 3 business days to display your permit and provide an ender chest. Again, this was ages ago. Well, I guess that seems justified. I actually think that's fair. I'm gonna go get an ender chest now. Also, I heard that pop-up shops aren't gonna be allowed anymore, so I am going to change the sign of this to the permanent iron pile. This is not a pop-up shop. This is the shop. This is how it's going to look forever. I'm never going to change it ever. So hopefully I won't be in violation there. Goodness gracious me, this permit stuff. I should probably check in on the item frame shop. Has that been citationed up? No, it has made some sales, but it is still in stock as well. This is good. Am I the first business owner ever that is excited by the fact that my shops aren't selling out? Like, it's a relief when I look at my chests and see that I still have stock. Right, I completely forgot I had this. Is there any demand for this? Well, that's completely bananas. How did I not see that while I was in the shopping district? The item frame shop now has an ender chest. My permit is now displayed on the outside. The iron and gold shops now have an ender chest. And their permit is now also displayed on the outside as well. Okay, I'm now in the clear. The Popo love me again. And I personally think that calls for a celebratory Mumbo Jumbo firework. I mean, it's not quite as impressive as that one, but it's pretty good. So now let's crack on with the plans for today's Hermitcraft episode. This area here is a little bit pants, isn't it? So we've got the lovely area up there, Big Rons and Willies is looking lovely, and I've already been coming up with some ideas for all of the other builds that are going to be going up on this plateau here, and then of course the future plateaus. That's all good. I'm excited for the future when it comes to this area. And of course, down at the bottom here in the walls, we're going to have things like the database, and there's going to be various other bits and bobs. But this area out the front is just a bit pants, isn't it? It's not that exciting. And I'm going to change that using custom trees and terraforming. Now, instead of doing concept art and things for this, I'm actually going to use some reference photos. And these reference photos were taken by me. I'm actually away on a trip right now. I'm on a rock climbing trip and I have been for the past couple weeks. In fact, the past 2 Hermitcraft episodes were recorded in a cabin in the woods in Fontainebleau in France. I'm actually recording this in a little old house in a town called Albarracin in Spain. But the reason I'm talking about this is because Font is a really interesting type of forest. You've got sandy floors everywhere, almost beachy floors, big sandstone boulders all over the place, and then just beautiful trees. It's a really enchanted area, and I really want to try my best to recreate this in Minecraft in some meaningful way. Okay, I've been doing a little bit more research, and I found that Scots pine seems to be the most common tree type in Fontainebleau. So I'm going to work on creating a reference tree that I can then, well, reference. And I decided to do this in a creative mode testing world because I was finding it really hard to get started in survival. This is what I came up with. So, from looking at a bunch of the pictures that I had on my phone of all the different trees, I found that they're very straight up and they're really quite knobbly. They've got a lot of things kind of hanging off them on the stalks. They also tended to transition from a grey colour. I genuinely thought all of the trees were silver birch, to be honest with you. They transition from a grey colour into a kind of just stripped colour. It almost looks like the bark's fallen off them. So I've tried my best to include that. The only thing that I have taken some liberties on is the way that the leaves are. So a lot of the trees kind of had flat leaves. Like, there's basically nothing on the tree until the very end, and then it's like just a disc of leaves. I tried incredibly hard to do this in Minecraft, but there was no way that I could do it without it looking really weird. Like, it looked so strange. Maybe on a much larger scale it would work, but for something this size, for it to be in keeping with all the other builds that I'm creating, it just wasn't working. So instead I've kind of dangled all of the leaves down and I've mixed in the azalea and also the mangrove. I've got a little bit more mangrove towards the bottom, so we've got a slight gradient here. I think it looks good. And then for the boulders, all I wanted to do is have like a very minor gradient, and then we've got all of the moss and things growing on top of them, some vines dangling down. I would say that if we imagine this with a bunch of pathways winding through a little forest area, I actually think it will look quite good. So let's start mapping everything out on the Hermitcraft server. And my first plan of action is, I think it would be smart to physically map out everything. So I'm going to grab a bunch of stone and then a bunch of wood. And I'm just going to start placing down blocks for tree locations. So that is a tree. And then this is a boulder location. Maybe there's another boulder here. And we can kind of get a rough idea of how everything is going to turn out before I actually start building. Because I think once I start getting physical trees in, it's going to be hard to change anything. So this is a really, really simple way to get a good idea of where everything is going to be fitting. And also it's going to inform me how many resources I need and also how long it's going to take to do this. Because, you know, if each tree takes me 10 minutes, then we are already at nearly an hour, and I have barely even reached the edge. Now, I actually want a river running through this thing because I want one of the builds up here to be water powered. So I think the waterfall will probably go there, the build will go here, and then the river will run across and snake into this one. This here is where the interface for the database is going to be. So I guess I'll leave this walkway clear because I might want to put some buildings into this naturally forming, I guess, I don't want to call it a valley. This is not a valley. I don't know what this would be called, though. This little hole thing. So I've done a few passes. I've gone back around. I've changed things up a little bit. I like where everything is going right now. I think this is a good density of trees. I think it's a good density of boulders. I think it's a good tree to boulder ratio. Now you can see I've kind of faded things off in this area here, and it's because I'm considering having some kind of big build on this end. So for the time being, I'm going to leave it clear. And of course, as more structures get added into this top section, I'll also add some matching trees on these different layers that I'm going to add on the hillside, just so it doesn't look like it's all concentrated down on the bottom. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this. I'm actually really excited to get to work on building these. So let's do a little bit of a resource gathering mission. So apparently I have a bunch of sand to my name thanks to my 50% deal with Doc on the log shop, but I don't know how to access that sand, and Doc isn't online right now, and I want to spend my sand at the log shop, but I can't get access to my sand inside the log shop. It's a painful turn of events. I'm just going to do this manually. So it really is time for a resource gathering mission. This one was a pretty simple one. I just needed a bunch of acacia wood and then jungle wood. That makes up the main bulk of the bottom section of the tree. And then I needed a ton of mangrove leaves because they make up the slightly darker elements of the actual leaf section. The only thing that I didn't gather is azalea leaves, because to be frankly honest with you, that is not something that I have ever gathered before, and I'm not sure what the most efficient way to do it is. So we are almost in business. Now I just need to find one of those fancy azalea caves. Is this one? This feels like one. Yes, I'm just here to pick up the trees. Oh my goodness, this feels chaotic. Oh, yep, this is chaotic. This is the most risk I've ever gone through just to get some wood. Oh, there's a good amount down here. Oh, there's a good amount, and there's some flowering ones. I don't even know if I want those. Well, I would say that was an enormous success. I mean, I should get a very large number of leaves from one stack of saplings. Now it's just buying a whole bunch of bones, grow up some of the trees, and get to work on shearing them. Wow, I definitely got a lot more saplings than I probably need. That is from maybe 9 of them. This is excellent news, so now we can finally get to work on building our trees. I just logged back into this world for the first time in ages to check if I still like the trees, and I do. So now I'm going to build these things in stages. The first stage is to build up the stalks themselves, which, if I remember correctly, it kind of goes something a little bit like this. Maybe a plank. And then it's all stripped jungle wood up to the top. How does that look? It looks obviously super weird. Yeah, it looks really strange right now. It will look good. That one was actually a bit of a short one. I think somewhere like this height is probably about where I want to be. I kind of want them dipping in and out so that they just cover the bottoms of these builds, and then some of them peek out over the top. This is good. I'd say we're in a good zone for this one as well. This is fun. This one feels like it should be super short because it's right on the edge. So I feel like this one can probably be one of the smallest trees. I've actually just remembered there is going to be a build coming down here, so I'm going to remove these 2 tree templates. I guess one of the far back ones can stay. Try my best to keep the height fairly random, but also keeping a sort of pattern to it. Like, I want to make sure that we don't end up with a really flat-looking canopy. I'm not gonna lie, I'm finding this a little bit more challenging than I was expecting. Let's see. Okay, I would actually say, height-wise, this is pretty nice. If we imagine the leaf blocks kind of pop out a couple blocks higher than the logs, this feels about right. And I really like how the tone of the blocks match up with the builds. I actually feel like it fits in really nicely. It has an almost campfire vibe. It's all warm and cozy. Cool. Okay, this half of all of our trees is now in place. I've been thinking a lot about how I want to do this side, and because I want to also include some overhanging builds in this area, I think I'm going to leave the trees for the time being. A lot of this side is currently unconfirmed, and I don't want to ruin things for me. I've made hasty decisions in previous Hermitcraft seasons that have come back to bite me far too many times. I don't want to do that again. So now let's start adding in all of the details and all of the dangly bits. So I've crafted up some of the bark blocks. I mean, I don't actually know if I've ever used these before. And now I'm going to start adding in some of the root systems that are coming down. How does that look? I mean, I'm starting to think that we haven't really left that much room for the boulders. Probably should have represented the boulders as something bigger than just a 1x1 cube. I'll try my best to take into account how big the tree is when it comes to actually building up the supports down at the bottom. This is a fairly short one, so I don't need particularly long supports. Cool. Okay, all of the supports are done. This area is still feeling like a nice space to run through, which is good. This view's really cool. I just want to make it clear that this forest area is going to be a work in progress probably throughout the whole season. Did I just say work in progress again? This is going to be somewhere that I return to. It's going to be somewhere that I add details to throughout the entire time that I'm working on the base. But I really want to get the base of it sorted today. Now for all of the details, and I think this is where the trees will really start to come to life and they'll start getting their own character. I'm not sure we're quite there just yet on this one. I mean, it's difficult to say without there being any leaves. I genuinely think it's this sign throwing it off. I don't think there should be any jungle wood below the tough line. I think the last block of tough is the first acceptable place to have the jungle wood. Yeah, that looks a lot better already. I'm also starting to realize that my estimation of 10 minutes per tree earlier on in the episode was laughable. I've probably already spent more than 10 minutes per tree. I think as I'm adding all of them in, now that we have more of them, it's starting to look better. When we did the first ones, it looked a little bit pants, but now there's more of them. They're kind of looking more consistent. I'm feeling happy about this. And these are the final few little details that I'm adding in here. So you got some buttons. Yeah, sign can go there. I mean, I'm starting to learn that the less I think, the better the outcome kind of works out to be. So maybe something like this. Fence gate, that's a branch, cool. I've left enough space for all of the leaves and things, so now all of our trees have got all of their knobbly bits, and yeah, I mean, it looks It looks weird. There's no doubt it definitely looks weird, but it looks good as well. So now I want to take you back to last week when Iskal sold me an apartment. I'm not entirely sure how this happened.
Which one are you interested in? This one here. This one comes with towels and its own air conditioning unit.
Wow. Okay, say no more. That sounds exciting.
And it's what we call a penthouse. This is Australian architecture.
Right, yeah, the penthouse is on the bottom. Nice, I like...
Because it makes sense, right? It makes sense. It's closer to the street, closer to outlife.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like, you don't have to go elevators, they're dangerous. It's quite cheap as well, actually, this one.
How much?
35 diamond blocks.
Blocks?
Blocks, yeah.
That's no... Sorry, I don't even have that many diamonds. Are you mad?
How much do you have? How much do you have?
I mean, I probably do have more than that, but...
Okay, there you go.
But...
I mean, look, for what you get...
6
consider
blocks.
it this way.
6 total blocks.
Oh, no. They will... Okay, I should say this. They will be built. They will be built.
What about we switch out the block for just diamonds? And then reduce the number of diamonds to 10.
Penthouse. No, Mumbo.
10 diamonds. We can shake on it right here, right now.
I'll do 10 diamond blocks. I'll do that.
8.
Because I'm a good guy. No, 10. I've already gone down 5,000 diamonds.
Okay, that's true. How about this? Okay, fine. Deal.
12.
10 diamond blocks.
Yes.
But I'm going to increase my gain marginally so it's slightly uncomfortable.
That's
okay,
fair.
Let's do the deal. Let's do it.
Yeah, okay. Let's do it.
I don't have them on me. Wait, I've just realised I'm paying 90 diamonds for a unit. 90. Okay, Scout. As I was flying, I had a moment of clarity.
I was starting to think that he wasn't going to come back, actually. I was starting to think that.
That would be very funny. In fact, cut.
No.
Here's what I'm thinking.
Right.
32 diamonds. That is 3.2 times bigger than 10.
You're going to get the cheapest apartments of all people, man.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
Well, do I have a choice in the matter?
I mean, you've now got my diamonds. I'm kind of curious to check up on the apartment and see if it's been furnished. In fact, I'm kind of curious to see if Iskal will notice if I gradually start furnishing it. Here it is, my penthouse apartment. In fact, there's currently an occupant in my penthouse apartment. Iskal really needs to work on his security. Okay, I'm gonna move these blocks back just by 1 block so I can have space for some things. Goodness me, this is the most facade I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Right, I have some dark oak logs. So I'll place those in like this, and I'm just gonna gradually extend this backwards over time. Here we go. I now have a little chair, and I have a little chair in my balcony. Do you think he'll notice? I don't think he'll notice that. There's no way. I'm going to add a block every single episode until he notices. But for now, let's get back to leaf placing. And I thought it'd be good to do this in the form of a time lapse, mainly because I'm getting a little bit knackered. You know, doing all of these sort of organic building projects, they're tough for my little brain. You know, they really are. I'm only just getting the hang of doing these actual structures, things that I have concept arts for, things that I have references for. Building from organic things that are actually familiar to people as well. That is a little bit more tricky. You see, you know, Big Ron's store, that doesn't exist in real life. So I'm kind of working from my own brain and whatever interpretation I put out there. That it doesn't have like a frame of reference for everyone else. The same with Willie's Woodyard, but when it comes to trees and things, everyone has seen trees. So getting them right is really, really tricky, and I'm spending a lot of time questioning a lot of my decisions and really trying my best to make these things look as realistic as possible. And what I will say is I'm really, really happy with these things. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with how this has come together. These are definitely my best trees that I've ever created in Minecraft. By far. I have completely beaten every other tree that I've created, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're perfect, and I think this is something that I'm actually going to have to sit with for a little while longer. Let's take a look at the end result. I would say from ground level, they look really, really cool. Actually walking through this area here, it's good. I mean, with like this space here, remember this space has been left for a build, so just ignore this massive empty spot here. But actually walking through, it does feel it does feel good. Now, in terms of flying around, I also think it looks pretty good from up here. It does look a little bit busy, but that's because there's loads of trees. Now, one of my favorite views is actually up on this platform here, being able to look down at the forest, and especially once we get the forest floor in, we start getting some boulders and bits in. That's going to be really special. I can't wait to get that done. I like this angle. I like this angle as well. I mean, imagining trees on this layer too, and then all of the shops going up, I think it will look great. I think my only 2 points of concern right now are the way that the leaves are placed. I think I went a little bit too random, potentially with the azalea, and that means that they look a little bit more messy. It probably would have been good if there was a tiny bit more pattern to the way that I did it, but that could just be me being too self-critical. I think the other thing is the back wall kind of blends in with the trees, and then all of these boulder stones here, they're also really blending in with the trees as well, which makes me think maybe we shouldn't build the boulders out of the same stuff that we've made the trees with, because then it will just look like a big old grey mush here. So I should probably lean on more dirt blocks and more things that are of brown texture and things that will contrast with our trees. Make use of moss, water, potentially, even coming back to Fontainebleau, maybe even sand. We could throw some sand into the forest. So I'm going to spend the next few days thinking about this. I'm going to come up with some plans and things, but I just want to say, I am really, really pleased with how this has come together. I could not be further out of my comfort zone right now, and that is incredibly exciting. So I hope that you enjoyed this Hermitcraft episode, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!